Chasing placements, let's be honest, can be a soul-crushing game. You're at the mercy of someone else's schedule and taste. But what if I told you instead of chasing placements, you could create them? Let me explain. In a video I recently dropped titled, "I Quit Music to Become a YouTube Producer," and here's why. I give my reasons for why I stepped back chasing placements on the local scene, and have instead focused more of my time and resources on this YouTube production channel. However, I feel like I left out some very important information in that video. I just dove into my own personal anecdotes and left out some key reasons why I think building up my presence on social media will be far better monetarily in the long run than just chasing placements. And building my brand will propel me way farther in the future. Today, I'm going to dive into 3 strategies that have worked for full-time gold to platinum producers, and how you at home can apply these tactics to get farther in your production career than just cold DMing small indie rappers. Let's get into it. Number 1 is obviously building up a presence on social media. But not only that, I would say you should post your own music as well. And no, I'm not talking about posting beats on YouTube to sell on BeatStars or anything like that. I'm talking about becoming an artist and posting your own music. And I know what you're all saying. Oh, but I don't know how to sing. And I'm not saying you have to sing, although it might help. I'm talking about posting your beats on YouTube, Spotify, and all the other platforms for people to listen to and enjoy. Instrumental music is a huge genre, I'm telling you. And we all know how annoying it can be to work with artists and revolve around their schedule. So dropping your beats as an artist is a way to grow a fan base and get more people interested in your production without waiting for artists to hop on one of your beats. Or even if you do score a placement, waiting for that placement to come out later. A great example of this is RJ Paasin. RJ Paasin has gotten placements with Bring Me the Horizon, has gotten shoutouts from huge artists like Tim Henson, and has worked with tons of rappers. But one of his most streamed songs is actually one of his own. An instrumental he dropped called Lobster that has now amassed 68 million streams on Spotify, which is so insane. Growing his fan base and getting more people and even other artists interested in his production. But not just that, on top of that, think of the money this song must have produced for him. Spotify pays out $4,000 for 1 million streams. 68 times 4,000 is $272,000. And that's just Spotify, not to mention the 14 million views this song has on YouTube. And because of this, he's worked with so many cool artists, but not because he was chasing them down. His biggest collab yet with Bring Me the Horizon actually happened because the frontman, Ollie Sykes, was a fan of his, not vice versa. He didn't chase down that placement. He created it with his own name recognition and the huge social media presence he had created. Which brings us to our next point, creating an artist. Or maybe I should say, coming up with an artist. Wouldn't it be so much easier if instead of reaching out to established artists, you could come up with someone from the ground up? Help create that artist's sound, so your production and that artist's songs are almost indistinguishable from each other. Well, I can think of a real-world example of this exact thing happening. Do you remember the song that blew up on TikTok a couple years back called Roxanne? Roxanne. Well, the artist who put this song out is named Arizona Zervis. He had been putting out a song a month for years before Roxanne blew up. And almost every song he put out at the time had the same producer on it making the beat. And his name was 94 Skrt. This is what a lot of people call being an in-house producer. You are essentially your own entity, but you mainly work for one artist and almost exclusively make their beats. And guess what happened when Roxanne came out? 94 got a lot of the same recognition that Arizona Zervis did and went on to produce huge songs like Coco by 24kGoldn. And I know not everyone has the luxury of working ground up with a talented artist. But if you have a friend who you think has some serious talent, or a local act who you think could go all the way, being an in-house producer from the ground up, establishing a sound, might be a great lane for you. And my last point, but certainly not least, is almost a combination of the last 2 points. And that would be join a band or a rap group. This is like becoming an artist and in-house producer at the same time. You almost get the best of both worlds and the benefits from both. Remember that band I was talking about earlier called Bring Me the Horizon? The ones that worked with RJ Paasin. Well, after their first couple albums, they were really wanting to switch up their sound. So they brought in a producer named Jordan Fish to be their in-house producer originally and work on their now legendary album, Sempiternal. However, Ollie loved working with Jordan and asked him if he could join the band officially. And he did. Ollie and Jordan went on to produce legendary albums in the alt-rock and metal space and collab with huge pop artists and rap artists like Halsey and Lil Uzi. However, after a decade, Jordan left Bring Me the Horizon to become his very own entity and produce for other artists. But he's had no shortage of work since leaving his band, with some of the biggest names in alt-rock and metal literally lining up to work with him. Names like Bad Omens, Spiritbox, and Poppy, creating for himself all these instant placements the moment he left Bring Me the Horizon, and a totally new career for him. He leveraged all that work he had done in the past decade, the name recognition he had built up, the social media presence he had built, to then go on and leverage a whole new career as a producer. However, I'd argue he was a producer the whole time. At the end of the day, there are lots of ways to make it, and no two people's journey is going to look exactly the same. So remember to stay creative. Don't box yourself in. But at the end of the day, that's just my opinion. Remember to check out my video on being a YouTube producer as well. And I hope that was helpful for you guys. I appreciate you watching. See you next vid.